Joined now from the Federalist by reporter Bre Payton, and this was the answer, Bre, to the United States abstaining from that vote at the United Nations, saying that basically we did it because it's in our interest, and as Secretary Kerry also said, in their interest, meaning Israel, to pursue a two-state solution. The building of settlements, which was what the vote was about, stands in the way of that. What was your reaction to this speech today?
Right. Well, you know, just a few minutes ago, we all heard Secretary Kerry basically call Benjamin Netanyahu an extremist and say that Israel has a choice to either be Jewish or democratic, right? So I think that, in accordance to the way that he lobbied and worked with the New Zealand, his equivalent in New Zealand, in order to introduce the resolution just a month ago, right? And the fact that the Obama administration appears to have kind of pressured our ambassador to the UN to abstain from voting, you know, and the fact that this was such a critical vote, I think, indicates that the Obama administration has been actively plotting against Israel for quite some time now. And I think that his words today just kind of confirms those suspicions that many of us have, and the reports that we've been hearing from Benjamin Netanyahu himself, that Obama personally lobbied and pushed for this resolution to go through.
Well, there have been reports in the Israeli press that suggest just what you're talking about. The Secretary kind of not addressing that so much as talking about why they did what they did, and again emphasizing over and over that it's about two states. And as you said, if it's one state, and it was kind of an interesting comment that he made there, Israel can be Jewish or democratic, but can't be both. I mean, it does bring up a larger point, a political point, is what was, you know, the point of all this on the way out for the Obama administration?
Yeah, you're completely right. And I think, you know, just the way the Obama administration is acting and the way that they seem to be, you know, plotting against Israel on his way out the door, and with the terrible Iran deal that, you know, he railroaded and ran through last year, I think really does indicate that they don't really understand our relationship with Israel, right? Our country and our history is tied to their history, and Israel's success is our success, right? And that seems to be something that Secretary Kerry just really doesn't understand. And his remark, really, I was really stunned by the fact that he said that Israel can either be democratic or Jewish, right? I think this kind of is indicative of the way that the Obama administration overall and liberals overall seem to think and misunderstand the role religion and politics play together.
Can't be both, right? Bre, stay with us for a moment. I'll come back to you in a second. I want to bring in Andrew Feldman, who's now joining us. He's a former canvass coordinator for President Obama. Andrew, it's good to see you. I asked Bre, and I'll ask you the same thing. What did you think was the overall point of making this speech for Secretary Kerry as the Obama administration is on its way out?
Look, I think this is about putting forward an urgency about how important it is to find a way to get a two-state solution. I don't think I could disagree with Bre any more about the Obama administration plotting against Israel. That's just nonsense. I mean, that's just exactly what that is, Connell. The reality is here that the Obama administration has asked the Netanyahu government to stop settlements over the green line dozens of times, and they've ignored. Netanyahu's government has ignored and ignored and ignored. And let me tell you something, the Obama administration isn't doing anything unprecedented. This has been U.S. foreign policy for decades. This has been a position held by Republicans and Democrats. So to say that we're plotting against Israel, I actually think that the Obama administration's #1 priority is the safety of Israelis and the safety of the entire Middle East and the world. And I'm not sure we can say that about the incoming administration.
We'll go back to Bre on that and give you a chance to respond to it in a second. But Andrew, your point, I guess, is the one that Secretary Kerry is trying to make, is these settlements are counterproductive. Is that the point, to make the region less safe?
Absolutely counterproductive. And again, Netanyahu is ignoring U.S. precedent for decades, right? Obama isn't just coming out of the blue and saying this. This has been policy for Republican presidents and Democratic presidents.
Okay, here's the Secretary once again, and then Bre will have her chance to respond. He defended some of the criticisms that have come in, many from the President-elect Donald Trump himself, following the recent UN vote, by saying this.
Regrettably, some seem to believe that the U.S. friendship means the U.S. must accept any policy, regardless of our own interests, our own positions, our own words, our own principles, even after urging again and again that the policy must change. Friends need to tell each other the hard truths. and friendships require mutual respect.
All right, to this point about friendships, we have tweets today that we've had hours before this speech from the President-elect Donald Trump saying we cannot continue to let Israel be treated with such total disdain and disrespect. They used to be have a great friend of the U.S., but not anymore. The beginning of the end was the horrible Iran deal, and now this, UN. Stay strong, Israel. January 20th is fast approaching, and there was a response to that from the Israeli Prime Minister, again on Twitter. Benjamin Netanyahu, President-elect Trump, thank you for your warm friendship and your clear-cut support for Israel. So, Bre, you first. What do you make of all this?
Sure. Well, I think it's pretty clear that the Obama administration's priorities are not with keeping Israelis safe. It's with appeasing liberal elites, right? And I think the fact that he is so in bed with the UN, an entity that hates the United States, right, just really indicates that that's not his priority. His priority is with pushing a liberal agenda that most Americans don't agree with. And I think most Americans, especially Jewish Americans, right, are happy at Donald Trump's words, and they're seeing that he is coming forward and is responding favorably and being kind to an ally, a very strong ally who we've had for, decades, and is a very important ally, as they really are the only stable entity in that region, right? So it's a very important and critical relationship that we have with the United States. And I think the fact that Donald Trump is, willing to work with them and be friendly towards them and treat them like allies as they should be treated is a favorable and a good thing that I think many Americans are looking forward to. Just about pleasing liberal elites, Andrew, what do you say?
Well, first of all, let me say I am a Jewish American, and I am not happy with what we're seeing from Donald Trump at all, and I guarantee you that most Jewish Americans aren't either.
What specifically? What do you mean by that?
Look, we're learning about his foreign policy proposals via Twitter. I mean, he can't even lay out a speech every single day. We're hearing different
Well, he made one during the campaign,
opinions.
Right? He made one during the campaign.
He made one sure, he made one. Remember, he hasn't had a press conference since July. He made a speech on foreign policy that was extremely broad in over the campaign, and he also, speaking of as a Jewish American, has had people that have been sympathizers to anti-Semitism in his government, right? So I'm telling you, I'm more scared as a Jewish American now than I've ever been before.
For what reason? I'll come back and bring it a second. But for what reason? I'm trying to get at what you're upset about. What do you think he's going to do that is not in the interests of Jewish Americans and/or Israel?
Again, I don't think he's stable, right? I don't think any of the policies he's put forth get us closer to his two-state solution, which is what Netanyahu wants. That's what he said on 60 Minutes a few weeks back. I think Secretary Kerry's point about having to be blunt with friends is absolutely right, and not having to agree with every single thing. That's exactly what Netanyahu said on 60 Minutes. So to be honest here, our foreign policy is more in danger, not only in Israel, not only on Israel, but on the whole world, all these issues, on the one China policy, on nuclear proliferation.
Right,
I mean, give me a break. We're hearing all this over Twitter. He can't even put out a press statement.
Be that as it may, I want to stay with the topic of